Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining Felicia and I on our little just have fun Zoom gathering talking about Feng Shui and clutter clearing. And while this is open to anybody who wanted to join, there was a lot of people in the Ultimate Clutter Clearing Certification course that have just started the program and had a lot of questions about the Feng Shui in their home. So Felicia and I thought that might be fun to just get together with everybody, answer some questions, because it's a whole lot easier than typing out long answers, and just share a little bit about Feng Shui, interior alignment, and how that relates to clutter clearing. My name's LuAnn Cibik, and I have been in the Denise Lynn realm of programs for a long time. If I say since like 2000, that makes me seem older than I want to be. But no, seriously, it's been that long. And I started out in Feng Shui and space clearing and then soul coaching and then clutter clearing. And it's been a wonderful journey, and it's been wonderful to be there to support others who are on this journey to go out into the world. Part of that journey allowed me to connect with the wonderful Felicia DeHaty, and she is one of my best friends, and she's a whole lot of fun, and I'm so glad that she's here today too. Felicia, can you tell people a little bit more about you?
Sure. Thanks. I'm excited to be here today. My name is Felicia Messina DeHaty, and I think I started my journey probably around 2008 with first with Feng Shui, and LuAnn was my first teacher. And I discovered through the Feng Shui and the space clearing that soul coaching was also like very integral when you talk about clutter clearing of the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual self. So it all kind of works together, and I just really love to learn. So I've taken, I think, every class that Denise has put out there. And I've also, I love to teach as well. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. And so I'm working on, developing new programs, teaching new things, and I love working with people. And as LuAnn said, we met in 2008, and we've been great friends ever since. So it's fun for us to do stuff together.
A lot of fun to do stuff together. So let's launch in, right? So you're all here because you got an interest in Feng Shui and probably tied to the clutter that's in your home. And so what is Feng Shui? Well, Feng Shui is actually two Chinese words, Feng and Shui, meaning wind and water. But the concept of Feng Shui is that our environment, what is around us, influences our life. And those two Chinese words originated in China because that is the oldest documented system of looking at our environment and how it influences us. And even in China, there are various schools of Feng Shui. Along the way, it started with form school, meaning it looked at the flow of the land and the rivers and kind of the best place to live. The most auspicious place that would bring you good fortune, meaning that you wouldn't get washed away in the flood or blown away in the hurricane, was eventually, part of the theme. But what could make your home a really wonderful place to live? And then along the lines, they introduced concepts about astrology, concepts about different directions. And so there's various methods and schools of working with Feng Shui in the Chinese system. But native cultures all over the world did this. And when Denise started studying about the influence our home has on our lives, she studied with the Maori in Australia and the Aborigines in Australia, the Maori in New Zealand, just different native cultures all over the world, including her own Cherokee heritage. And what they all had in common, because even if you look at the different schools of Feng Shui in China, you'll find these rules, and the rules will contraindicate themselves. And it's like, whoa, who is right? right? Which one is right? And it can be hard to say they're all right, but they are all correct in the sense that they evolved to incorporate the environment that they were in. And so those rules make sense for that location, for that culture, for that topography. And so the rules might be different if you live in a mountainous area versus the desert, right? Because they're different kinds of environments. And so with that understanding that our local environment has a lot to do with how our home feels, it was kind of the basis of where Denise came to understand this influence that our homes have. And so she decided to create her own Feng Shui school, Feng Shui and space clearing school, that she named Interior Alignment, representing that our inner world and our outer world are connected. And so that when we have this alignment within us and within our homes, we can support each other. Our homes can support us and be a template for our life. So that's the evolution of what interior alignment is. And the other thing that Denise did is she recognized that we don't live in the same kinds of houses that people did 4,000 years ago. We have really wonderful things like indoor plumbing and heating, and those are wonderful things. But we also have a lot of more modern day issues with our homes. One of those things is that our homes are built or made with materials that are not healthy for us, and we just don't, most people don't recognize all of those dangers. And the other thing that wasn't a problem 4,000 years ago was clutter. And so I want to ask Felicia to talk a little bit more about clutter and how it relates to feng shui.
Okay. So clutter. Clutter is anything that creates a blockage in our life. And so clutter can many times manifest physically in our homes, but it can also manifest in, it can also start in like the mental, emotional realm. So first, I'm going to talk about physical clutter, and then we'll talk a little bit about the mental, emotional realm. So with your physical clutter, and I know many of you are taking the clutter clearing coach class, certification class. We know that clutter is anything that you don't need, that you don't love, that you don't use. It could be broken things in your home that, you know, you're like, oh, the lamp's been broken for 5 years, but I'll fix it one day. Could be one of those things in your home. Could be unfinished projects that you know, even shoving it in the closet or under the bed or some, you know, out in the garage or paying for storage somewhere. Those things are still energetically tied to us. And so they can create blockages. They can create an energy that makes you feel like you're stuck or you can't make progress, you can't move forward, you can't achieve your goals. Clutter can, in terms of feng shui, if you want to create a home that is a sanctuary where the energy is flowing, the energy is supporting you, having clutter in your home will kind of stop up the dam or stop up the water. So it's not the energy is not flowing freely. So you want to think about with feng shui, looking first at, you know, where have you created these physical blocks to energy in your home, and how can you get rid of those first before you start, you know, making other adjustments, moving things around for better energy flow. Because it's kind of, you know, if you want to create, let's say you're working on your abundance area and you want to create greater abundance, but the abundance area is full of clutter. Well, you're kind of giving that message to the universe. Well, this is my abundance area, and this is where I have piles and piles of clutter. So just give me an abundance of clutter. That's all I want. So you think about, you know, where the clutter is in your home, how it might be symbolically or physically creating blockages for you, and looking at what you need to release in order to allow the energy to flow more freely. And I always encourage people to also look at, I know a lot of the clutter clearing is about releasing. So what are we going to release? What are we going to let go of? But also looking at what energies do you want to invite into your home? How do you want to feel in your home? What do you want to experience in your home? And inviting those things, making room for those things. And that might include getting rid of the things that don't support your desires. Keep in mind that nature will always fill a vacuum. So if you're, getting rid of stuff, and then you never are clear about what you want to bring into your life, then you're just going to find that more stuff that you don't want is showing up everywhere. So create your intentions. The beginning of the clutter course, Denise talks a lot about creating your intentions and goals and setting up an altar and creating a vision for what you want your home to look like. And then once you do that, it's kind of it is easier to get rid of the things that don't match the energy of what you want in your home and clear space so that you can create that energy flow and create that supportive environment that you desire. And when you look, when we look at mental, emotional clutter, oftentimes those things will manifest as physical clutter. So when you're getting rid of the physical clutter, kind of think about what do those things represent for you. But looking at like mental, emotional clutter, sometimes that could be a to-do list that's just, 5 pages long, where you're constantly adding to your list, but never getting anything done. You're sending out the message to the universe that, oh, I can start things, but I can't finish them. So maybe there's some of those things on that list need to be released or delegated to somebody else so that you can accomplish the things that are really important to you. If you look at your calendar, are you in a situation where you're always saying yes to everybody? So your calendar's packed and you never have any time for self-care or reflection, or never any time to do the things that really bring you joy because you're always saying yes to everybody else. And these could also manifest as unfinished projects or, stuff that you just start around the house and you have to put it down because there's something else you have to do. So running from thing to thing. And there's, Denise talked about this some in one of her videos too. It's like the guilt factor and the family heirloom factor where, are you the keeper of the family stuff? Or are you the person who, somebody gave you a gift and either you don't want them to come over to the house and not see that you appreciate the gift, or you bought something, it was very expensive when you bought it and you feel like you can't, because of its price, you can't give it away or you can't get rid of it. I remember when my husband and I got married, one of his family friends gave us this statue that was like a dancing woman with parrots on her hands. And we both thought it was hideous. But we kept it for a while because we're like, oh, what if his mom comes over? And then finally, like my mom, for some interesting reason, saw it and she's like, oh, that's so lovely. And I'm like, oh, would you like it? So that's another, what's clutter to you might not be clutter to somebody else. But I always encourage people, and I always think also for myself, like when I give a gift to somebody, it's theirs to do with what they want. So if they don't want it, it would be to me, it would be better if they gave it to somebody else that would use it and love it rather than just keep it because I gave it to them. So that's one way to think about your stuff. But with the guilt factor, and especially the things that you've spent a lot of money on, think about it in terms of what will you gain by getting rid of that object. One of the things you could gain could be not feeling that energy pull or that, like, ugh, why do I still have that? Every time you walk by the object. Everything in our homes gives us a message. Even if you're not thinking about it, the images, the colors, everything has a vibration, everything has a message. So if you're constantly surrounded by things that you really don't love, that bring your energy down, that's another way that you're creating blockages for yourself. So just take a good look I encourage people to take a good look at what you have in your home, the pictures, the colors, the objects, and just really think about or reflect on whether they bring your energy up, whether they give you the experience that you desire in life. So if you want to feel abundant, or if you want to experience abundance or experience joy, do the things in your house reflect joy and abundance to you? So trying to match your goals with what you're surrounding yourself with. And I guess one more thing, I could talk about clutter all day, but one thing I encourage people to think about really is looking at your house as a three-dimensional vision board where, everything you desire can be represented somewhere in your home. So make it a joyful, happy place, and feel, the world can be so chaotic and unknown, there's so many unknowns these days. So create an environment, a sanctuary in your home where you feel safe and loved and you experience the things that you want to experience from life.
Felicia. So taking that whole thought, it's like, well, gosh, a lot of that is just common sense. Yeah, it can be hard to let go of those things. That just seems like common sense. How is that feng shui? Well, it is feng shui. It's the very most essential aspect of it. It's understanding that your home is a template for your life. What you have in there, those images, those the way you have things set up, create this pattern of how you want your life to be right now and what you want it to be in the future. And so many people say they feel stuck. Well, maybe it's because so much of their home reflects who they were in the past. And so it seems simple, and it's like, well, how is that feng shui? But it is. It's about how is your home set up as a template for your life. So in our interior alignment system, that's one of our key things. We look at this aspect of feng shui for the soul, right? What does your soul need in a home? And this core aspect is it needs to feel good to you. As I know you guys have heard Denise say, if it feels good, it's good feng shui. And our second rule, if it feels bad, it's bad feng shui. But here's the thing, it's how it feels to you, not how it feels to somebody else. Because to you, you might look at your Barbie you had as a child and she's dressed up and she's on the shelf and she just brings you joy. She makes you think of all the fun you had as a kid. And somebody else would walk in and go, oh, why do you have that? Clutter. No, if it brings you joy, if it makes you happy, it's good feng shui. So let's just start with that as the basis. But we did have a lot of people asking questions about specifics, right? So we wanted to talk about some of those questions that people had posed, and then we're going to open it up for if you have specific questions as well. And I want to start though by just saying there are many schools of Feng Shui out there. Even in China, there's many different philosophies, and different cultures, as time have gone on, have created and have their systems. Like in India, they have Vastu. And as time went on, the concepts from the Chinese Feng Shui, as those Feng Shui masters left China and went to Europe and went to the United States, have evolved in what is more of a modern day Feng Shui system. And that's because many of these more modern day Feng Shui systems, like Black Hat Tibetan Buddhist Feng Shui, or sometimes called Three Gate School, and others like, there's just a lot of more modern schools, honor the fact that we live differently. And so in ancient times, when they would look at the different compass directions, it was basically because nobody was living right next door on either side, right? You were just out there in the middle of the wilderness, and the wind blew from the north and it was cold in China because they're northern hemisphere, and the sun was in the south. And so that was the warm part. And so they kind of oriented things in that way of how that feels in that area and what's natural for that area. But in our more modern way of living, we've got houses right next to us, and many of us might live in apartment buildings where there's people and their little places right next to us. So it's different. We don't have all of that natural energy. And so I'm going to say about 50 years ago, this reorientation of what we call the Bagua map was made to line up on where the front entrance is into your home. And so we don't tend to call it in interior alignment the north or the southeast or any of those things. We'll look at things, and we're going to talk about it today based on that Bagua map, laying out where your front door is and that front line of the house. And so like that front middle is what we call the career area. And the two ones people always want to know is the back left is abundance and the back right is relationship, right? Isn't that what everybody wants, is money and love? So there's other wonderful things in life, but those are it. In the southern hemisphere, in interior alignment, we use a different Bagua because the energy is flipped and it moves counterclockwise. And so afterwards, I'll post on this video in the comments section, I'll post Bagua maps for both northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, so you guys will have that. So with that background, okay, I want to jump to Mary Ann. Had a whole bunch of questions, okay, and Mary Ann is starting her business as a professional clutter clearing coach, and she wants to get things set up, and she had a question about what is the best color and location for her business filing cabinet. And that's a hard question to answer without knowing specifically spaces. But I'll give my answer, and then I'm going to throw it over to Felicia to give an answer too. Okay. So in general, when I'm looking at filing cabinets for a business, I tend to choose a black color. And the reason why is black is associated with water energy, and water energy is something associated with abundance. How we treat the water in our home represents abundance. Sometimes people will use water fountains to bring a flow of abundance. So I tend to go with that black color. Now, Felicia, what advice would you give Mary Ann on that?
Well, I agree with I agree with black. But I also use different colors for the files depending on like if it's something that's action oriented, that I need to take action on, or action oriented, I'll use the warm colors like red, orange, yellow from the color wheel. If it's something more like just information or abundance related, I'll use like the cool colors like green, purple, and blue. But I agree with the having the filing cabinet black.
And here's the thing, if you're like, ooh, black, don't like that, that's fine. Okay. So other abundance colors, because if you're thinking, I want my business to be abundant, maybe you just get whatever filing cabinet and then you do a DIY, paint it some gorgeous color of purple, because that's an abundance color, or a yummy green, that's an abundance color, as Felicia said. And so, you can tweak it if black doesn't call to you. And then she was talking about her southeast corner. And I don't think Marianne's here. I'm looking.
Yeah, she's here.
Oh, is she?
Mm-hmm. Minnie.
Oh, okay. Minnie, do you want to unmute and share a little bit more about your question?
Hi, hello. Gosh, how exciting. Lovely to meet you all. I'm in England, and I'm setting up, it's animal healing and communication and holistics, working with herbs and things like that. Lot of clearing to do before I really get going on that, I think, from parental stuff and times of being ill. And like you say, the stuck energy is the old experiences that I haven't yet cleared out, having moved on, actually. So very happy with that. So the house is 100 years old. The original house is a sort of a semi-detached, and it has a kitchen extension, single story at the back on the south side. But it goes about 2/3 of the way along the back of the house. And then the sort of abundance corner, the study, which is at the back, has got that kind of missing bit. So the kitchen goes, and then it goes back to the original building, and there's that kind of missing square. And in what is that study area, there is a toilet and a sink. And there's the on-off switch and all the piping for the water for the whole house. And above that area, in the second story, is the bathroom with all the plumbing and the loo again, and the bathroom and the shower and the sinks. So there's a lot of water, pipes, toilets, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it all. And then that kind of, I don't quite know, that corner, either the single extension is, I don't know how it's dealt with for these purposes, really. Have I got a bit missing, or have I got a bit extra?
Great question. And so the way we look at that is you look at how wide that kitchen extension is, like how long that wall is, versus the wall of the house that's not the kitchen extension. And if
about 2/3,
it's about 1/3,
2/3.
The kitchen is 2/3. Okay. So, but then it doesn't have the second story over top of it.
No.
Okay.
No.
So generally, if it's 2/3, we would move that bog wall line out to be along that back, because that part of the wall is longer. So I like to just call it, then you have less area under roof, right? In that one corner. So that's how I might look at it. And then if you were having challenges with abundance, then absolutely we want to look at that.
So the challenge is a kind of a bit of a glass ceiling in terms of increasing income and increasing growth, that sort of thing, I'd say. And on this business, getting started. I've only been qualified a little while, so I'm very much at the wanting to get this off on the right footing. Yeah.
So I would look at all of those bathrooms, okay? And yes, there's that aspect of there are drains in the bathroom where your water energy, and water is associated with abundance. So it's not bad that it's in your abundance area. The challenge is the drains that the water runs out of. So a lot of times we will say, when you're not using the bathtub or the sink or the toilet, you put the toilet lid down, you put the plug in the sink, right? You plug all of the drains. So if any water does come out of the faucets, it doesn't drain away. It's not going anywhere. And then you just celebrate the heck out of, like, oh my God, I am so wealthy that anytime I want water, I just turn this on and wonderful water flows out, because there's a lot of people in the world that don't have that. And so it's just honoring that energy of water. Felicia, what else do you want to add?
Well, everything LuAnn said, and also creating like a more spa, like nurturing environment. Because if you want to emphasize like growth and expansion, think about what things to you represent growth and expansion, and keeping in mind self-care. The bathroom is a great place to honor yourself. So how can you honor yourself with what's in the bathroom? And on a like very practical level, if there are any things that need, like if you do have a leak or there's something that needs to be fixed, make sure that everything's fixed, the pipes work, everything's nice, sparkly and clean. And of course, no clutter.
Yeah, I'm not quite there with a no clutter, but the fixing bit is done.
Another thing you can do is, if you own the space outside your wall, if that's your yard out there, just continue that energy of abundance out into the yard in that area. Maybe that's where you can plant some beautiful purple flowers, or have some shrubbery like lilacs that have purple flowers. But just think of what you can grow in that area that might work. And if you can't grow anything there, then you might choose some crystals that represent abundance, like amethyst or citrine, and plant some of those out in the yard, out in that area, to just bring in that abundance energy.
Would it be okay to put in pots, because that's actually it's concrete, so I've got pots. Does it matter, should the pots go along what would have been the boundary of the building, or stay up close to the building? No, they should finish it off.
It would be great if you could make those pots finish it off, like create that energy of walls and enclose that space.
Lovely. Wow, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. This is amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Well, we had another gal who posted questions about a fireplace. Lori, are you here, Lori? If you want to be on, just unmute yourself.
Here I am.
Hey, Lori.
Hello? Hi.
So you posted a question about a fireplace that had two sides, and maybe you can explain it a little better.
I'm living in my significant other's house, and since long before I was here, there's a non-functional fireplace that has it has an opening at two sides. So it opens into the living room on one side, and it opens into kind of what is really right inside the entryway on the other side. It's non-functional. It has glass doors on the side to the living room. On the other side, he's got a metal thing to keep the cat out with blue tape on it. Really ugly. And the couch backs up to the fireplace. I know this can't be good, but I don't know what to do with it. And we don't want to throw a lot of money at it, because I don't know that we're going to stay here for a really long time.
Felicia, I've been jumping in first, so I'm going to turn it over to you, and then I'll go second and say whatever Felicia said.
So do you want the fireplace to work, or is that you just want to leave it?
I don't have a strong feeling for or against. I don't even know, like, if there's this elaborate stair-steppy kind of chimney structure that is all around it. It's kind of the center place in the house. But I don't know whether the chimney is viable currently, because it has not been used for at least as long as I've known him, which is 16, 17 years. So it's been, at one point it had had an electric fire, or not an electric, but one of those place heaters that you can hook up to it, that was sitting in the main entryway, which it's not there now. It's never been there in the time that I've known him. But he had, or she, his deceased wife owned the house before he did. So somebody had it put in, somebody had it removed. But as long as I've been in the picture, which has been about 16 years, it's just been blocked off.
Okay. Because I was just listening to when you were describing the non-functional fireplace, it's like I could feel your energy. I could feel the weight of it.
I'm really, really fortunate that he saw that open video with Denise, the webinar with me, and came with me, because I was going under. It was killing me.
Yeah.
And I'd said it for several years. And I was at the point where I was going to have to leave the relationship to survive, literally. And so he's on this journey right now, and I'm deeply grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, it's for me, I need the clutter to go away. I need the place to serve, so that we can take whatever step is next.
Yeah. So I would recommend thinking about how you can repurpose that area. So fireplaces represent fire energy. So if there's something else that you can, either a picture or a mini altar or just some candles, something that could represent and stand in for that fire energy, something that when you look at the area, you don't see it first as non-functioning, you change the function to something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of a crowded living room, so we're trying to figure out how to deal with that too. It's so, which is why I think the couch is backed up against it, because it just, deals with the whole. But it, looking at it, we both the other day, as part of Denise's process, you're supposed to think of a word that reminds you of the energy of that room.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, I said pensive and he said fatigue. So it's not it doesn't support us the way we would like it to. And the fireplace is part of it. It's overcrowded. Like, I'm sitting at a desk in the living room because there's just not enough room for me to have a desk, and it's not in the best place. That was my other question, is if you can't put a desk in the best place, where is the best place to put it if you have to choose a bad spot?
So for that, I would recommend, so I kind of like to play around with furniture. I also get in trouble a lot for that, because people in my house come home and they're like, why is the furniture moved again? But I like to play around with what space in that room do you feel the best and most uplifted? And that's where I would put the chair for the desk. And ideally, you don't want to have your back to the door, but you could solve that by having, a very supportive high back chair, or maybe putting a mirror on the desk where you can see what's going on behind you. Yep. So with the desk, if you can't put it in the ideal situation, I would say put it in the place where you feel the most supported in the room.
And with the fireplace, so you said something that represents fire.
Mm-hmm. Which could be, candles, could be, colors of red, orange, yellow.
We do have it's always been alterish for him. It was covered with things and dust and whatever. And then I'm like, look, we really have to address this. But it has this stair-steppy white place that we have kind of converted into, I don't know if I would call it an altar, but it has things that are meaningful to us. And we've been actively looking at it going, does this support where we're going? And so that is there,
Mhm.
but there's still the hole and and it's missing the glass from one side, and we really can't have the cat in there. And
Yeah, but yeah, I would think about what else could you cover that with to keep the cat out that's more visually pleasing to you.
okay, so it doesn't matter that there's this empty space there.
I don't think so. What do you, LuAnn, did you want to jump in?
Everything Felicia said. And and then I would say, if we think of our home as a being, right? And when that being was created, when she was built, that fireplace was supposed to be a place where fire energy happened. And whether that fire energy happened from a live flame, or it happened from an electric heater or a gas log, there's that aspect of that was supposed to be a place where fire energy existed within that home. And in ancient times, we gathered around the fire, right? So in some ways, how can we replicate that fire energy? And maybe in that room, you have a TV, right? And that's kind of the new orientation, what we gather around as the fire energy. But if there's not something like that, I would want to bring fire energy, as Felicia said, back to that fireplace. And it doesn't mean you have to fix it and be a functional fireplace. Maybe it's, as she said, maybe with candles. Maybe you don't even want like candles with flames, but you can get those candles. I have one over there, candles that with batteries, right? That it looks like a flame, but there's no danger of the cat knocking anything over. And then maybe just look on, you know, for some place, I know you don't want to invest a lot of money in it, but for just another fireplace screen to put in front of it that would make it look like it's a place for fire again. And I think that would feel so much better to reorient the furniture so that it's not blocking off that fireplace.
So would it would be okay to put the TV in front of it?
It would, because you're honoring that energy of fire. So that would be something you could put in front of it. I don't know if it's a fireplace where you can mount the TV above it, but then you're just bringing that fire energy back and making it a gathering place again.
Thank you.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, anybody else here have any questions that they wanted to ask? You can hit the little raise your hand button, or just go ahead and unmute.
Hi, yeah, on the fireplace thing, if no one else is jumping in. So old house, and there's a upstairs in the bedroom, a fireplace that's totally been kind of plastered over, but there is still the flue because it comes from the fireplace downstairs up, where there's a wood burner downstairs. And then the other half, there's a covered up fireplace downstairs, and an open one that's not in use upstairs. So for the ones that are like totally closed off and there is still the flue behind, what would you, how to harmonize it again? What would you do? Would that be a picture or color or?
Absolutely. You could put a fiery picture or color there to honor the fact that that was
Yeah.
once a place of fire in that room. But a lot of times when we do remodeling, and so like covering that up is kind of a remodeling, just like if you had a bathroom here and then you took out that bathroom, put it over there, you've changed the layout of the house. And so it maybe doesn't expect fire energy to be there. But a lot of times it can be in every room. You might want to have that focal point, that fiery energy, just to balance things out. What do you think, Felicia?
Yeah, I think if they're sealed off and it's sort of repurpose. You've already shifted the energy. And I wouldn't think so much about, so think about the house in the present.
Okay.
Like LuAnn said, if we think about our house as a living being, think about, you know, how to honor what's there in the present. And if the fireplace, if there isn't space or energy, or this, it doesn't, you know, it's been blocked off, then you can just kind of consider that, you know, part of the past of the house.
Yeah.
And then honor what is there now.
Yeah. Okay. That's lovely. Thank
After
you.
that. In the group, I'm just going to see if we, I'm just looking at my notes, and we did talk about desks and desk orientation. Felicia gave the answer on that about how if you can't have what we call command position, you know, you high back chair, mirror, those are all great ways to rebalance that. And then some of it was questions about, so how do you represent things like a love relationship if you don't have a love relationship, right? Like, how do you put in that kind of symbolism or that kind of intention? And so one of the ways that you can bring in any kind of intention is through artwork or any kind of art, I guess, that symbolizes how you want that to feel. And so like a love relationship, if your perfect partner is somebody who wants to walk hand in hand on a beach at sunset with you, and that would be like, oh, that's my thing, that would be like the most romantic thing, then it's a picture like that of a couple that you don't have to see their faces, but just that energy of that. Or even if it's not artwork, maybe it's representing, like it's somebody who at the end of the day, you're both going to have a glass of wine together and celebrate the day. Then maybe it's just you stage a couple of wine glasses and a wine bottle set up in your kitchen to just set up that template of like, yep, I am ready to celebrate with that person. Felicia, do you have some other ideas on how to bring different symbolism in?
Well, just, I mean, as LuAnn said, really look at the artwork in your house, and not only like what is in the picture, but how really focus on how it makes you feel. Because you really want to start attracting more support and the more of the things you desire in your life. So focusing on your emotions and really experiencing those emotions is great. And so when you look at your artwork or other objects in your home, even the colors, reflect on how they make you feel. And so if they give you the feeling that you want, I mean, it could be an abstract picture. It could still give you that feeling of love or adventure or joy that, you know, a representational picture could give you. So really look at looking at your artwork and how it makes you feel. Because I know a lot of times, you know, we get so used to the stuff that's in our house, especially on the walls, because it's just like there on the wall. You don't really see it anymore after a period of time. It's just kind of blends into the subconscious chatter. So really take a look at what's around you. And one thing you could do, one thing that helps me is to take pictures of the room, because a lot of times I'll see things in the picture that I don't see when I'm just like in the space. So that might help too, to kind of focus on like, oh, what is really in this space and how does it make me feel?
Well, Felicia and I could talk feng shui, like not just all day, but like all week and probably for months, because it's what we love. But we are kind of coming up towards the end. So what I would like to share is for those of you who are in that Ultimate Clutter Clearing Certification Program, a couple of the other mentors there, Dorina and Laura Clark, are also interior alignment practitioners. Felicia and I are master teachers. And I just want to also say in that group, all of the mentors there are doing a super fantastic job of supporting everybody on this journey. But if feng shui, if as you're like learning this, about clutter, and it's excited something in you about this fact that your home is a template for your life and you want to learn more about Feng Shui, maybe that's another certification you might want to consider. And of course, I'm going to advocate an interior alignment certification because you're still in the Denise Lynn realm, that same philosophy of how we are heart-centered and focused on our client and what is going to make our client feel wonderful to have in their space. I have a online instinctive Feng Shui, which is the interior alignment Feng Shui course coming up, and it's all online. It starts in May, it'll go through August. And it would be wonderful to have anyone here in that program. And then I have an on-site course coming up in the fall. We'll start in August with 12 online lessons, and then you'll come here to my home and retreat center in, I think it's November, for a week to step into that certification. And these are powerful professional programs where, as a part of it, you do real client consultations and your teacher is right there on the way. And I know Felicia has some coming up too. So what do you have coming up, Felicia?
At the end of June, I have an instinctive Feng Shui all online program that is on the calendar. And that is all that's on the calendar right now for Feng Shui, but I'm plan to have an in-person class later in the year.
And then you also have a soul coaching all online class coming up too, right?
Yes, it's coming up, but it's coming up next April.
Oh, okay.
April 2023.
Okay. Okay. So, and the reason why I throw that out there, you're like, well, why soul coaching? Well, if you love the clutter clearing aspect, and maybe you're like, that house template stuff, it's either here or there, but I'm thinking you're here on this call because you like the Feng Shui. But, you know, as you're working with people and their stuff, you realize it's much more than just, I don't know where to recycle this, or I don't know how to get rid of this. There's that emotional and mental baggage that we have that's associated with that. And the soul coaching aspect allows you to step even deeper into coaching people with those aspects of what emotional baggage they might need to let go of. So things to consider. I know you got a lot on your plate right now if you're in the clutter clearing coaching program, and that's fantastic. It's a fantastic program. There's so many people who need help with their clutter, but I'm hoping that we've answered some of your questions about your personal spaces and how to think of them to support you as you go through this course, and then also maybe plant the seed of other things you might want to learn in the future. Does anybody have any other questions?
Bev typed a question into the chat.
Okay.
She said that she would like to know about colors. She was thinking about her bedroom, white and gray. Her office is yellow, but there's a color to help. Is there a color to help with a business? Well, I think she's looking at she needs colors for her whole house.
I was gonna say living room, kitchen.
Yeah, living room, kitchen, everything.
So, okay, color. There's so many energies associated with color. So the most important thing about a bedroom is if you're not able to fall asleep, then that's definitely a reason to start looking at color and other things in that bedroom. And so the color you're thinking about for the bedroom was white and gray. And so in Feng Shui, those are both what we consider metal energy colors. And so if you're somebody who falls asleep pretty well and you're not laying in bed worrying about things all night, those could be great colors. But if you're somebody who gets mentally overstimulated, like you lay awake at night and worry about things and think about your to-do list and what do I have to do tomorrow and blah, 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 those might not be the best colors. Traditionally, great colors for bedrooms are what we consider more earthy colors, like browns and tans and beige and coffee colors, and maybe even some kind of peachy kind of skin colors. All of those make really nurturing bedrooms. But it's all about what makes you feel good too, so keep that in mind. Felicia, do you want to talk about colors in business? Or living room and kitchen?
So I really believe that, so every color has a vibration. Even if, the lights are out, you're in the dark, the color still has vibration. The colors, the warm colors, like the reds, oranges, and yellows, have a higher vibration, or more movement. Think about more movement with those, and then the cooler colors, less movement. So like the greens, blues, and purples. And I always feel like when choosing a color, to first think about like the purpose of the room and how you want to feel in the room, and whether you want to feel like a lot of energy and movement, or if it's like a bedroom or a meditation room where you want the energy to be like calmer and more still. So I think it really depends on, so in your living room, if you want people to be the place where, is it the game room or the TV room where there's a lot of like stuff and action going on? Or is it a place where it's like the chill out room where everybody just comes to relax, lay on the couch? So I think it depends on like what you want to do with each room. The kitchen, I always recommend colors that represent like growth and nourishment and self-care and health. So like green is a great color for like balance and health. And, it depends. So if you want like a fast food restaurant where you just want people to get in and out, you might pick a red. But normally I would go with, like, for kitchen, like more like green, growth, nourishing colors.
Like you said, Felicia, it's hard to give a general, there's no one right answer, right? Because so much of it depends how those colors make us feel. But then you also look at how much light from the outdoors does this room get? What is going to be the right combination, right shade or tint of that color? So colors can be tricky, but colors can bring so much power and energy to a space. So it's a great question, Bev. I don't know if we gave you all your answers or not, but those are some general things to keep in mind. Well, it's been an hour. It's been a fun hour. I've really, really enjoyed spending this time with all of you, and I look forward to seeing your posts out in the Ultimate Clutter group for you, those who are there. Those who aren't there and you wonder what we keep talking about, well, it's an online certification program by Denise Lynn, and if you go to her website, deniselynn.com, and you go under learning, you can find this Ultimate Clutter Clearing Coach all online certification program. And gosh, the people in it are just amazing and fantastic. And it's such a wonderful service to offer people. So if anyone here wants to get in touch with Felicia or I, you can find us on the interioralignment.com website, or my website is innerharmonyschool.com. And Felicia, what's your website?
FeliciaDehaty.com.
Okay. So we invite you to come check out our websites, friend us on Facebook, and we look forward to working with you. So have a wonderful day. Happy Feng Shui, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.